All right, then continuing with the pre-event interviews for the 2024 VCT Americas Kickoff event, I am here accompanied by Derrek of Evil Geniuses, ahead of the aforementioned competition. So once again, really appreciate you taking the time, Derrek. Yeah, well, looking at your career in particular, of course, last year you were with Under Thieves, but this time you're with EG, and
Yep.
it's quite a new team, a new environment for you to be in. So I just want to start off by just asking, how did you join EG in the first place?
Uh, yeah. So, obviously, after UG won champs in 2023, their roster kind of fell apart. A lot of the players went to different teams. It was rumored that Jogamo and Com were the ones staying, but a few days after Christmas, I guess they found out that Com's leaving to Leviathan, and yeah, I was playing ARAMs at like 6 in the morning because I was like, man, I'm not gonna be in franchising next year. And then I get a message from Potter asking, can you scrim today? I've tried with them uh before that for just for like open tryouts, just because
Mhm.
they didn't know who was staying and who wasn't. Um, and then this was like the trial that was like, yeah, we really need you because Com's leaving. And yeah, I got picked up.
Yeah, because I understand that this whole thing happened like in a space of of a little bit of time. Because I believe it was during the end, near the end of the off season, at the start of the new one, maybe start of the new year. So I guess it all happened very fast for you, right?
Yeah, it was super fast. I mean, they messaged me like a week or two prior from Christmas that like, yeah, we're gonna go with nature and calm, so there's no room for you in the roster. So I accepted that I wasn't gonna be in franchising. That was my last option. And then, like I said, a few days after Christmas, I got the message and I tried for them and they liked me and picked me up. So
Wow.
happened really last minute and here we are.
So you're basically the final man in, basically.
Yeah.
Dang. Quite a massive turnaround, but one that worked well for you in particular. But yeah, that said, well, I guess how long have you been playing, screaming, practicing with the team? Would it be fair to say that you've been practicing for like a few weeks by this point?
In person, we've done at least like a week and a half, I'd say, maybe 2 weeks. And then offline, like at home, we've done, I would say probably about a month of practice.
Hmm. And yeah, and how has it been, fitting in with the rest of the team? Because of course, everybody knows about Potter and Jogimo, reigning world champions, reigning defending world champions for
Yep.
EG, and then in addition to that, Apoff, and then also Superman, um, former teammates slash opponents, during your
Yep.
days in Tier 1 slash Tier 2. So how has it been fitting in with all of these people combined to form this particular unit for this year?
Yeah, so I've actually played with Superman before on Rise. So playing with him just it felt like we didn't even it wasn't even like a break for us. I just got right back in there and it felt like when we used to play together. I played with all the other guys and ranked a lot. Jaw I'm really comfortable with. But over this past like month, I think I've really meshed really well. I think our team chemistry is just like really crazy. I think the vibes are really good. And from our scrims, yeah, we've been doing pretty well. So I'm enjoying it right now.
Yeah, of course, and it's one thing to have to like face them, the e.g. As as a member of the opposing side from last year, but what's another thing to actually play alongside them? Yes, of course, it's not with the same world championship winning roster, but still, how have you seen the difference between both sides of the server?
Yeah, I mean, I played against the EG that was still kind of in the transition between BCJ and Demon One. They subbed Demon One in for like our second map when we played against them when I was on 100T. And I could tell right away that Demon One was like mechanically super good, but it was only a matter of time where they just needed more time with him and like that I think they just bumped off each other right off the get go after fully transitioned Demon One to the full roster. So I didn't get to play against that monster, but playing with them, I can understand why they did so well with Potter being the coach and like actually working under her and Jogmo's energy. Like it's like really unmatched. It's something else.
Yeah, of course, and I want to still stick with last season and with you in particular. Of course, still a member of 100 Thieves. That there was plenty of expectations for this team to do well domestically, but of course, unfortunately, that didn't pan out the way it did. How do you look back at your time in 100 Thieves, and also in addition to that, what do you feel was the biggest struggle that the team had to undergo that then ultimately prohibited you guys from succeeding?
Uh, yeah, I mean, I would say our biggest downfall was the transitioning period between becoming a more passive team with the addition of Cryo. Um, Obviously, Cryo's insane, but it was like a really big change from leaning away from the chamber meta, where Cryo's Matt was super dominant and like Cryo was just his agent because chamber allowed you to play a little bit aggressively, but also like him as a player just very passive defensively, and people just walked into you in the chamber meta. Rather, when we transitioned to the more jet like double duelist meta, uh, we couldn't really catch up. I felt like we were playing like catch up the entire season. We weren't playing confident because we didn't even have an identity as a team. Obviously, Mike had a lot on his plate being the only coach heading into VCT Americas because we lost our assistant coach right before. So obviously there was a lot of things that went wrong, but us as players and Mike as a coach, I felt we as a whole just we had a rough season. I mean, that's all I can say about it. And we didn't. That was the one year where if you had a rough season, it was basically your entire year was over because there was only one regular split. So it sucks how it worked out, but everything happens for a reason.
And it's because of that that you then ended up back, or not back, but in EG for this year, and
Yeah.
now pivoting back towards the team. I want to know how it's been playing with Nature as the IGO, because of course he had a played last year with TSM in Challenger. So how has it been, working under him and just having to hear his calling and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, Nick's a super good caller. I've never worked with him prior, didn't really play much with him in ranked, but as day one, I could tell like this guy's super good at calling. He knows when to change the pace. He knows when we need to slow it down, when we need to pick up the tempo. He knows exactly where to send Jaw in because Jaw is one of those guys where if you tell him something to do, he'll do it. Like if you tell him to run into a site with five people on it, he'll do it. Um, and Nick takes full advantage of that. So I really I like working with him and I like bouncing ideas off with him. So
Of course, of course. And that said, now with the team now having the full five in place for the start of the season, how would you view its current level compared to the rest of the league? And also, in addition to that, how do you view the 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 community's perception towards this team? Because as a result of it being formed basically at the last second, there's not gonna be much expectations for this team to do it well. Then again, it's sort of the same sentiment that revolved around EG last year, but still,
yeah,
how do you view um, the team's current level from your lens, and also the community's view towards your team from their lens?
yeah. I mean, from my lens, to me it kind of feels like the beginning of the old 100T rebuild where it was brand new, fresh slate. The only original member was Asuna. And then there was four new players, new coach, and that really just feels like what it is. I feel like that's what it is right now, where it was the coach and Jogimo and four new players. And I like the way we meshed together. As for the fan conception of the team, um, I mean, reading into it a little bit, obviously the know that this is not the same roster that won champs 2023 and had a whole run in 2023. So I can't really speak for that, but I just hope they understand that we're doing the best we can given the circumstances. Like I think what made EG so successful last year was having that they said about having that reserve roster where they would tell the reserve roster to play a certain comp or play like a certain style so that EG the main roster could scrim the reserve roster and they would never show anything. we don't have that coming into this year. There's a lot of things that we don't have, like um the old 2023 EG had,
Mhm.
but obviously we're gonna do our best given the circumstances, and yeah, we're just gonna go out there and try to replicate what they did in 2023.
Mhm. Mhm. And of course, that's over that within EG, as you said, is not the same EG as it was in 2023 for this season. And of course, plenty of reports have been made about the team during the off season within Valorant and also outside of Valorant of their moves, roster moves, everything else of the like. And of course, I've had my own criticisms of the org, just for the record. And when it comes to looking at you guys, your new teammates, and you joining EG, did the thought of having seen them make those moves, all season moves, and rebuilding the roster and just departing from the old one, did that play into your mind when it came to deciding to select EG as your next team?
So I mean, ultimately, like I felt like I wasn't even in the position to have any, like I wasn't in the position to have a choice. It was more like I had such a bad season that like I would basically take any opportunity that presented itself for franchising. I really still wanted to compete. Obviously, if I had to go to tier two or challengers, I would have. But it just so happened that this opportunity presented itself, so that's why I took it. As for them blowing up and the roster being like what it is now, I mean that's between the players and the org, and if the players felt like they could have personally done better for themselves on other teams, I mean I can't really blame them for that.
Mhm. Did you consider the negative reaction that eventually did came out of once the roster announcement was made for the 2024 season, given that everything that happened within the org within the last few months?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously there's some like diehard fans that are like super mad that you know the old EG was treated the way that they were, and they were kind of like forced out. I mean, I'm just joining in, and I'm here to play. You know, I can't really speak on that, so I'm just here to play as a player and just try to replicate what they did in 2023. So
Hmm. Hmm. And even so, like it must have then crossed your mind, right, when it came to like judging how people would react to looking at you joining EG and everything that it was, right?
yeah, I mean, for sure, I knew people thought would probably think that like um people will think what they want to think. Obviously, I said it before I even joined EG that I was looking to compete no matter what, whether it be tier one or tier two. I don't think anyone, well, at least in my position where I already lived in California, so it wasn't much of a big transition for me. I don't think anyone in my position would have said no to EG, given the current roster, given my history with some of the players. Uh, uh, Superman, for example, my ex teammate. Um, those it definitely never crossed my mind that I would not take this offer.
Right, right. I understand that. And that said, now getting to the end of this conversation, now I want to ask about sort of similar to how I asked the previous one before. We got into you joining EG, more so during how do you view um what are your expectations, or how do you view your expectations with this team and the prospect of possibly following up the success that the team, the previous iteration, achieved at the end of 2023?
Um, Obviously my personal expectations will always just to be to win and to and if not win, at least do the best that you can in the server so you can say that you truly tried your best and it just maybe wasn't your year. Uh, so I'd say, I mean, our expectations as a team is to just play our best, do whatever we can with what we were given, and hopefully come out on top.
And hopefully you guys are able to do that. Yeah, that about wraps up all of my questions. Really appreciate you once again, Derek, for taking the time and answering all of my questions. And best of luck for you in the future.
Thanks, Patrick. Have a good
All
one.
right, All right, man, take care.